Here we go. It is Friday. Payday. Start of the weekend. A outstanding performance by the New York Football Giants last night. Man, between the Thursday night football game, Major League Baseball playoffs, the Hockey League, what a night. What a night. Where to begin? That is the question. All right. So let's start with last night's game. Let's start with the Giants and the Eagles. So I said this yesterday. I said watch out. Now, I did not say it on here, but my bet last night was Giants. I took the money line and I put a decent amount of money on them. I felt really simply this. As a young quarterback, home is a lot easier to play in than on the road. And I felt honestly last night watching the game, Jackson Dart heard all the boos of Russell Wilson. Like, he heard everything. He knew that this city was sick and tired of substandard quarterback play. And this morning, when I got back to the office this morning from work and everything, you know, my first statement was I was right. I told you guys, I think Jackson Dart's going to be very good underneath Brian Daboll. I think he has the moxie. He's got the charisma. He's a little extravagant. So what? The Giants, everybody has, or most people have a misunderstanding of what Eli Manning was. You do realize Eli Manning was a 500 quarterback, right? He didn't win games very well. He is not half the quarterback his brother was. Not half the quarterback. We're talking about 500 seasons. Not winning division titles. You're not going 12-4, 12-4, 13-3, 14-2, 12-4, 12-4. That's not what Eli did. They haven't had a quarterback like Jackson Dart in New York. And I heard some comments going, he's a little bit, he's going to have to chill it out. Really? Really? Patrick Mahomes still doesn't. In fact, he tries to get the defense penalized by stuff he does now. Josh Allen has learned, but he's still running over linebackers. Lamar Jackson is still running around everywhere. Really? We're gonna be that bad of commentating, going, well, he's got to be really careful because he doesn't want to get himself hurt. Last time I checked, that's what we loved about Lamar Jackson, loved about Patrick Mahomes, and loved about Josh Allen. It's what we love about Bo Nix. Shut it. Jackson Dart can play. Jackson Dart can play football very well. Watching his composure last night in the pocket was a beautiful thing. His constant head-up mentality of running around, using his peripheral vision to find where the defenders are. He kept moving around in the pocket. Like, he would make all these moves and then run. They didn't have to, but he did a fantastic job of manipulating the pocket time and time and time again. They were 8 for 10 on third down plays. 8 of 10 on third down before his injury. And you want to know how clear it is that they will never want Russell Wilson to take another snap again? They went into the tent. Dable went into the tent. Should I take a timeout? Can we get him back out here in 30 seconds? Like, there were legitimate, they were dying to get Jackson Dart back. And there are some people that are like, well, I'm not really sure. Well, then I really don't need to listen to you, because obviously you can't take the hint when your head coach and your running back are trying to technically illegally get into the blue tent to get the quarterback back out. He's the leader. He's the quarterback. They all believe in him. And if you can't see that, well, I would go to your nearest lens crafters and get your eyes checked. Because that was a thing of beauty last night. Watching the Giants dismantle the Philadelphia Eagles, watching the Eagles crumble against a team that just wanted it more. That first drive of the second half was so important for the Giants. It was so important. They got that lead, and then the interception, going back down the sideline on a throw that Hurts missed. It was definitely inside. But the way they once again tried to force feed A.J. Brown. Here are the stats from last night. Jackson Dart, 17 to 25, 195 yards, 1 touchdown. He was sacked twice. Cam Skattebo, 19 carries, 98 yards, averaged 5.2 yards a carry with 3 touchdowns. Jackson Dart, 13 carries, 58 yards, 4.5 yards a carry with a touchdown. Total, 39 rushes, 172 yards, and 4 rushing touchdowns for the Giants. Receiving, you had Wan'Dale Robinson, 6 catches on 7 targets, 84 yards and a touchdown. Lil Jordan Humphrey, watch out for this guy. This is the guy Dart was practicing with. They've got a rapport. You can tell Humphrey isn't necessarily sure with the route tree, but you can easily tell Dart absolutely trusts him. 4 catches on 8 targets, 55 yards. Theo Johnson, stalwart, 2 catches on 4 targets, 27 yards. Hyatt, 3 catches on 5 targets for 17. And Skattebo had 2 catches out of the backfield. For the Philadelphia Eagles, Jalen Hurts, 24 of 33, 283 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 pick, 3 sacks of Jalen Hurts. Saquon Barkley, 12 carries, 58 yards, averaged 4.8 yards a carry. Normally, that's not that bad. If you get 20 carries, you're almost at 100 yards. Jalen Hurts had 7 scrambles for 13 yards. It's a little skewed because they had 4 tush-push plays, it really showcased why the NFL's got to do something. Philly's cheating. All the side angles are showing it. The NFL is going to end up banning that tush-push because the Eagles don't want to play within the rule book. Not because the play should be banned, but because they cannot officiate that play cleanly because of how condensed everybody is. It gets murky. You can't see everything. And it was blatantly obvious twice last night. The Eagles are going to get it banned themselves. Play by the rules. Nobody has a problem. A.J. Dillon had a carry for 2 yards. As a team, they had 20 carries, 73 yards, averaged 3.7 yards a carry, and a touchdown for the Philadelphia Eagles. Dallas Goedert had a huge night. 9 receptions on 11 targets, 110 yards, and a touchdown. A.J. Brown, 6 receptions, 80 yards on 9 targets, no touchdowns. Devontae Smith, 4 catches on 5 targets, 49 yards. A.J. Dillon had 2 catches on 2 targets, one of them resulting in a killing fumble. An excellent play by the Giants to swat the ball out. Jahan Dotson had 1 catch. Saquon Barkley had 2 catches. A.J. Dillon with the fumble. Drew Phillips had the recovery. As far as sacks are concerned, Brian Burns had a sack and Darius Masau had a sack. For the Eagles, it was Patrick Johnson. Patrick Johnson and Jordan Davis. And the reality of this game was it went downhill really, really fast. The Giants had control basically from halfway through the third quarter. They were up by 10, and that was about it. That was all she wrote. They could never get back into the game. They could never get themselves back into a position to fight to win this game. And honestly, I mean, the numbers are weird. Third downs, the Giants were 11 of 16. The Eagles were 1 for 9. Time of possession, basically even. 31 minutes to 29 minutes by the Giants. This is the game plan to beat the Eagles. 366 total yards for the Giants, 339 total yards for the Eagles, 25 first downs to 20. The Giants gave you the blueprint. This is how you beat Philadelphia. And as you look at the schedule ahead, they've got the Vikings next week on the road. Then they have the home matchup against the Giants. Then they're at Green Bay and the Lions, those next 2 games. And don't forget how they close the year. They close the year at Commanders, at Bills, home against Commanders. That's their final 3 games of the season. You can't get behind the Commanders heading into that final week. You got to have a little bit of wiggle room. But if the Commanders beat the Bears on Monday Night Football, they are now tied with the Commanders. Now remember, I did pick the Commanders to win the division. And I did say Philadelphia was not going to be Philadelphia. They have scored 142 points. They have allowed 143 points. Saquon Barkley, through 6 games, has 325 rushing yards. And he goes, listen, not every year is going to be like last year. Not every year is going to be like last year. You're not even in the stratosphere, dude. We're talking less than 70 yards a game. We're talking less than 60 yards a game at this point. You're barely at a 55-yard a game average. Like, it's bad. Philadelphia. And Lane Johnson came out and goes, maybe we need to stop. We need to look at what we're doing that makes us so predictable. Well, the play design makes you predictable. Forcing the ball to A.J. Brown makes you predictable. Knowing that out routes are what Jalen Hurts wants to throw makes you predictable. The break that the Giant defender got on that corner route was ridiculous. I mean, he had a great break and made an outstanding play. I don't know if the Eagles can be fixed until they get a new offensive coordinator. They got to get one that works really well. We've seen this before. Shane Steichen left. That was the year we thought Sirianni was going to get fired. Kellen Moore comes in, good. Kellen Moore leaves. Guess what? It's bad again. Sirianni is not a good offensive mind. Sirianni is not a good play caller. Sirianni is not a good coach. There are multiple coaches that have a Super Bowl win that aren't actually good coaches. Gary Kubiak is not that great of a coach. He won a Super Bowl. But he's not a great coach. Unfortunately, you don't always have to be a great coach when your owner and GM are amazing and they've built a team that can absolutely function without you, and then your staff really doesn't need you around. And that was last year. Now, to be fair, the secondary is currently beat up. They don't have a lot of a secondary. But Vic Fangio couldn't even get Jackson Dart rattled last night. This is what I love. Jackson Dart could not even get rattled last night. I'm going to say the same thing for the Giants that I have said for the Saints. When they are home, do not count out the Giants. When they're on the road, you probably have a better opportunity. Home against the Chargers looked pretty good. Road against the Saints looked pretty bad. Home against the Eagles looked outstanding. Jackson Dart is now 2-1. And we did them. We did the Giants. I said it. If you want to, you've got to go for it. I think you need to see what you can do with Dart. Make a trade for another receiver. I'm sorry, Wan'Dale Robinson is not going to cut it. You've got to get somebody else in there. Somebody who next year can work with Neighbors. Make that trade. Make that move. And I am still going to say Jalen Waddle. Go get Jalen Waddle from the Dolphins. Go get him. You need a secondary receiver that can play across from Neighbors. It's exactly who I would go get. Maybe Jacoby Myers from the Raiders if they start selling pieces off. He would be a bigger receiver. He's more possession. Neighbors is more speed. I could easily see that working as well. But get Jackson Dart a receiver. Let's see how far this thing can go. All right. That's football. What is going on in the rest of the world? Well, the rest of the world of sports. We had MLB playoffs yesterday. And by golly, George, were they exciting. The Philadelphia Phillies lost their game in such epic fashion that I don't even know how to explain it. Imagine, if you will, a team in MLB playoffs, and the only runs that they score are off of a bases-loaded walk and a bases-loaded error. That was the Dodgers last night. The Dodgers beat the Phillies in 11, 2-1. The bases were loaded. 2 outs. A chopper off the plate. The pitcher gets excited. The catcher is pointing to first, saying, "Throw it over there." He doesn't. He throws it home. It goes wide right, way off, hits the backstop, and the Dodgers win. And you know what? I love it. The Phillies lost by a bases-loaded walk and a bases-loaded error. So back to the drawing board for the Philadelphia Phillies. The Dodgers win the series 3-1. Now in the other game, the Chicago Cubs win their game, game 4, 6-0. They did win back-to-back games at home in Chicago. They won yesterday 6-0, blanking the Brewers forcing that game 5 back in Milwaukee. Boyd, Hap, they absolutely came out on fire. And now, so tonight, you have Detroit and Seattle. Game number 5. Winner moves on to play the Blue Jays. Then tomorrow, you have Cubs and Brewers. Game 5. Winner takes on the Dodgers. I want Seattle and Toronto, and obviously I want Chicago and the Dodgers. That is what I want. That is still what I am going for. Still what I am going for. All right, in hockey. So, we do have Game 4. I want to mention this. Game 4, Las Vegas Aces, Phoenix Mercury, is tonight. That is tonight. Vegas is Phoenix. Vegas is favored over Phoenix. I don't know how tonight's going to play out. Honestly, Las Vegas looks like they have really just come alive. Sabali is out for the Mercury. Huge piece. Concussion. I think, honestly, Las Vegas probably cleans it out tonight. That is going to be my guess. Now, let's go to the NHL. I won this bet as well last night. I was rolling last night. Won the baseball bet because I picked the Cubs and Dodgers. I picked the Giants to beat the Eagles. And then I picked multiple games here in hockey. And I tell you what, it was a good night. It was a good Thursday night. So last night in overtime, Boston beat the Chicago Blackhawks 4-3. The New York Rangers atoned for their Game 1 loss, and they blanked the Buffalo Sabres 4-0. I believe, let me go back and check. I believe that's the first. No, the Rangers were shut out on Tuesday. But then, Wednesday we had no shutouts. Thursday, Buffalo Sabres get shut out. The Montreal Canadiens opened up on fire against the Red Wings, beat them 5-1. The Ottawa Senators beat the Tampa Bay Lightning 5-4. Florida Panthers are 2-0. They got a 2-1 victory over the Philadelphia Flyers. Pittsburgh Penguins are now also 2-0 after getting a 4-3 victory over the Islanders. Carolina Hurricanes, I did predict this one, had 4 goals in the third period, beating the Devils 6-3. The Minnesota Wild blanked the St. Louis Blues 5-0. That was a big game, came out and they just kept pounding away at them. The Columbus Blue Jackets took the loss to the Nashville Predators 2-1. Dallas Stars beat the Winnipeg Jets 5-4. The Colorado Avalanche get another win 2-1 over the Mammoth. And then the Vancouver Canucks beat the Flames 5-1. Golden Knights beat the Sharks 4-3. And then the Ducks took a loss. They lost to the Kraken 3-1. Now, I said eventually I would figure out what in the world everything meant. Okay? So the way that the standings are played out for hockey is wins, losses, and overtime losses. Then you have regulation wins, regulation and overtime wins, shootout wins, and shootout losses. Like, all of those are sitting in the standings bar. Okay? The points, I am guessing, the points I haven't really figured out. I really haven't. Because I want to know what these ones are. I believe if you have an overtime loss, you get a point for that game. If you have a straight up loss, it is 0. If you have a win, it is 2. So, like, the Vegas Knights have a shootout loss. So it's an overtime loss. They currently have 3 points. They have a win and a shootout loss. Overtime and shootouts give you a point per team either way. So every game is worth 2 points in the NHL. How they divvy them up, once it goes into extras, it doesn't matter. It's a point. In regulation, a win is 2, a loss is 0. I'm not going to be able, it will take me a while to keep track of the point system. I know the points do matter at some point. I am playing fantasy hockey. I have one fantasy hockey league that I am playing. And I am learning all of this, which is rather interesting. Last night was a big night. First full scheduled day that we have had. And they're actually off today, which is really weird. Friday, there is nothing. On Saturday is when we come back and have a full schedule once again. Everything basically is on ESPN Plus and NHL Network. And it starts early. The Kings and Jets start at 1:30. The NHL Network game is the Canadiens and the Blackhawks. And that is it. Everything else is on ESPN Plus. All right. So we don't need that anymore. There we go. All right. So let's get to this. This has been a rough week for me. Trying to figure out how I'm going to play out these teams this week with the games have just been really hard. Now, to remind everybody, my Hawks locks for the week, I have Illinois at plus 14.5 against Ohio State. NC State at 23.5 against Notre Dame. And South Carolina against 9.5 against LSU. In the NFL, I have the Cardinals plus 7.5 against the Colts. I just think it's too big. And in fact, if Jacoby Brissett starts, I'm actually more concerned about the Cardinals being able to play a cleaner form of football. So we'll see what happens. The Browns at plus 6.5. I'm taking the Browns. The Steelers will probably win, but I believe that defense, the number 2 defense in the league, is plenty good enough, and I don't think the Steelers are going to throw all over them, and the Steelers can't run the ball. So there's going to be a constant 4-man rush, 7 defender secondary. And then the Bengals at plus 14.5. Even at plus 14, I'm taking the Bengals with Joe Flacco. Like I said, I think it's going to be throw the ball up to Chase and let Chase play football the way he wants to. I really think that's how that game is going to end up going against the Packers. My picks for college this week: Missouri over Alabama, third time's a charm, we'll see. IU over Oregon, it is a homer pick. I admitted that yesterday, but we're going with it. And then I've got Michigan on the road over USC. Now we get to the NFL. And I tell you what, after getting the Giants right last night, I was feeling a little bit adventurous. I will tell you the game I am staying away from. I am staying away from the London game. I have learned, screw it. I am not picking the overseas games. Just ain't happening. I have gotten those wrong. Overseas is a complete leveler. The Broncos are favored by 6.5. If they were in Mile High, or even if they were in New York, I'd say that would be accurate. But you're in London. And it just is different. It's just different. So, and that spread could be completely accurate. It may not be. I don't know. But the amount of games that only have a 3.5 point spread or less are pretty low. So I've got a couple games on here that have a 4.5-point spread. But we're going to start out with the Chargers and Dolphins. And this one has tripped me up. So I have to believe one of two things. Either I believe, one, the Dolphins, after everything that has gone on, are going to figure out how to run the ball against Jesse Minter's defense, who has been run on and does have holes in it currently. And that Tua will be able to not throw interceptions. Or I believe that despite Omarion Hampton and Najee Harris being out, that the Chargers will be able to run the ball well enough because the Miami defense is just that bad, that the Chargers could eke this one out like 20-17. And honestly, the over-under for this game for points scored is 43.5. I'm hammering the under because I think this is going to be a game where Harbaugh just wants to get out of it with the W. And smart money is coming in on the Chargers. In Miami, though, Herbert has been hit a lot. The offensive line is pretty bad for the Chargers right now. Bradley Chubb, Kenneth Grant. I know the secondary is weak. I fully agree with that. I'm going to go upset here, though. I'm going to go upset. I am really concerned about the Chargers' offensive line. Look at what's happened. The loss to the Giants. The loss to the Commanders. They're getting beat up. That offensive line is not able to withstand a four-man rush. Now, the Dolphins, I don't think are great. But at home, 1 o'clock, Chargers coming from West Coast to East Coast. It's a 10 a.m. kickoff in California. It has affected teams in the past. Can Miami just get out and score? Can Achane just get out and get ahead? That's going to be the question, because I do believe if you force the Chargers into throwing this game, Herbert's going to get hit, and Herbert will eventually get hurt, and that's really a big fear of mine. Look at what happened to Joe Burrow. But I'm going to go with an underdog right out the gates. We're going with the Dolphins over the Chargers. So that's number one. Number two, the Patriots are 3.5-point favorites over the Saints in New Orleans. So in this game, I got to figure out, does New England come down and have a letdown game after beating Buffalo last week? And do the Saints really have a team that can win without 5 turnovers by the opposing team? The answer to both of those questions is no. I don't believe the Patriots will be still living on cloud 9. I believe the injury to Antonio Gibson is actually a blessing in disguise, because Travion Henderson will be returning kicks along with Stevenson. And I believe those 2 running backs will have a big day against the Saints. I believe Drake May and Stephon Diggs are now connected, and I believe Diggs will start playing better. The Patriots will continue to improve, and I believe they get the W. I believe they get the W on the road against the Saints. I do believe the Saints will be tough. Do not get me wrong. I'm not saying blowout. I do think the Saints will play tough at home, but the Patriots are better. So I'm going with the Patriots. All right, the next 3.5-point spread, or less, that we're going to be looking at, is the Seahawks at the Jaguars. I think this is another Tampa Bay Seahawk type game. I do. I think the Jacksonville Jaguars and the Seattle Seahawks are going to have an outstanding game. I really want to watch it. It's going to be on Fox. Sam Darnold, Trevor Lawrence, Clint Kubiak, Liam Cohen. the run game for Jacksonville against the defense for Seattle, the pass game for the Seahawks against the pass defense for the Jags. Trayvon Walker should be back this week for the Jaguars after that wrist surgery. It'll be cast, but he should be back. I think this is an outrageously exciting game. I really do. And I think the Seahawks have played so many close, tough games. They lost the tough game to the 49ers to open the year. They lost a very tough game last week to the Buccaneers. The Jaguars are coming off of a big win against the Chiefs. It's another home game, and I think they may keep it rolling. I think because they're home, this gives them that ability. This gives them the ability to stay focused through the week because they want to keep this feeling. This team hasn't been this good in a while. These players haven't felt this in a while. They're 4-1. They win on Sunday. They're 5-1. It's a big game. It matters. It really matters for Seattle. Because if they lose, they go down to 300. Or 500, sorry. 3-3, 500. So far, I picked the Dolphins at home, Patriots on the road. Dolphins underdog, Patriots favorite. Jaguars are currently a 1.5 underdog. I'm going with the underdog. I'm going with the home underdog. I love home underdogs. It just makes sense. This game to me just makes sense. All right, next game we're going to pick the Lions at the Chiefs. It's a 2.5 point spread. And I am not even going to lie to you. I'm picking the Lions. I don't understand how Kansas City is favored. The only thing I can gather is that they're worried about the secondary with Arnold being out. That's the only thing I can think of. Rashee Rice is still not back. He'll be back in week 7. So Rashee Rice is not there. It's Worthy, Brown, Thornton, and I said it the other day, and let's do this preview now instead of doing it later. This game to me is very simply going to be a clash of two completely different mindsets. The Chiefs are going to be looking to strike quick, strike fast. The Lions are going to run everything out. If they get 1st and 10, run for 4 yards to 2nd and 6, run for 4 yards to 3rd and 2, run for 3 yards for a 1st and 10, and they do that 5 or 6 times down the field, they'll be happy. They could have an 18-play drive and just mow down that defense. I believe in the second half, you will see the Chief defense just gassed. They won't be able to keep up. And what Kansas City will have to do then is they will then have to try to match the output of what the Lions are doing. The Lions are better. The Lions are outstandingly better. It's the best offensive line in football right now. The Eagles haven't been able to do anything. But Lions' offensive line has come together. The rookies are playing really well. And they just smash people. They got 2 backs that can absolutely beat you. And they're not afraid to use either one. And then on play action, they got the tight end. They got a speedster that can go down the field. And they got a really good possession guy that can come across that, can make a lot of tacklers miss. I got the Lions. It's that simple. I've got the Lions. All right. I'm going to pick both Monday Night Football games. The Bills at the Falcons is a very interesting game, and here is why. I think it matters for the Falcons how they show up. The Bills are better. coming off of a loss. They'll be refocused. The Bills will win. But how the Falcons play the Bills, I believe, will matter. Now, you're losing ground on the Buccaneers rather quickly. If you lose another game, you're already 2 games back of the Buccaneers, but they haven't had their bye week. You will, your bye week has already happened last week. I do believe the Falcons can win this game. I do believe the Buffalo defense has certain holes in it that last week were exposed. I do believe that. I do believe that Atlanta could run on Buffalo. I really do. And part of me wanted to pick the Falcons. But at the end of the day, in a dome, I'm going to take Josh Allen to make enough plays. I don't know if they even cover the spread of 4.5. It could be a field goal game. But I'm going to take Josh Allen right now to win that game over the Falcons. Now you look at the other game, the Commanders and Bears. This is a exercising the demons play for the Bears right now. And honestly, I don't think it has a chance. Right now with Caleb Williams, and this is something that normally isn't the case. Over your bye week, Ben Johnson didn't figure out what other aspects of the offense they could add. He was figuring out what aspects of the offense do I need to tune in for him to figure this out. Caleb Williams doesn't have a ton of turnovers. He's only got 2 interceptions on the year through the 4 games. He's not been horrible, but he's not Jaden Daniels either. Jaden Daniels is so much more in control, outrageously accurate, doesn't bail on the play call, even though he can because he's more athletic than Caleb. And I do believe that on Monday Night Football, you will watch 2 teams and you will watch 2 quarterbacks, and one will look like the franchise guy that can go to the Super Bowl, and the other will look like a franchise quarterback that you really have to still build around because he needs support. One will look more like Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen. The other will look more like Tua Tagovailoa and Russell Wilson. You got to build around them. You can't, the talent potentially could be there, but you got to build around them and protect that quarterback, mostly from himself in making those mistakes. So that is what I see for this week. So my pick 6 is I'm taking the Dolphins at home over the Chargers in an upset. The Patriots to win on the road against the Saints. The Jaguars to upset the Seahawks. They're underdogs by 1.5. It's basically pick 'em. But I got the Jags at home against the Seahawks. I got the Lions on the road to knock off the Chiefs on Sunday Night Football. And then I'm taking the Bills over the Falcons on Monday night and the Commanders over the Bears on Monday night. And that is Hawks pick 6 for week number 6. I can't believe we're there. All right, we got about 10 minutes. Let's go through the preview of each game heading into this weekend. On Sunday in London, we have the Broncos versus Jets. The Jets are looking for their first win this year. Aaron Glenn would really appreciate it if it would happen sooner rather than later. The upcoming schedule, though, is, in a sense, a bright road for the Jets. After they get through the Broncos on Sunday, they are home against the Panthers, at the Bengals, and home against the Browns the next 3. There is light around the corner for a Jets fan to get a couple of wins. You could easily get 2, if not 3 wins through those next 3 games after Sunday. But can you steal one in London? That will be the question. Rushing wise, J.K. Dobbins has 77 carries for 402 yards. Breece Hall has 66 carries for 351 yards. Garrett Wilson has actually got more receiving yards than Courtland Sutton, and I believe his involvement will be the difference in the game. If Patrick Surtain shuts down Garrett Wilson, then I believe the Jets get shut down. In fantasy, most people are playing the Broncos defense because of the history and the tendencies that are there. The Broncos defense is really, really good. Jonah Ellis is still questionable with his ribs. Ben Powers, the guard, though, is doubtful. I do believe that is a slight thing. Don't want to overstate it, but I do believe that is a slight help to the New York Jets. Jermaine Johnson is questionable with his ankle. Quinnen Williams, the defensive tackle, is questionable with a groin. Michael Carter II has a concussion. Odds are is he won't play. Looking at the next game, which is the Cardinals and the Colts. The Colts are coming in. They're 4-1. They're 3-0 at home, and they want to keep it rolling. Marvin Harrison Jr. coming in is actually really excited. He is excited to play his dad's team. I believe it will be a big day for Marvin Harrison, especially if Jacoby Brissett is the quarterback starting for the Arizona Cardinals. I do believe the Colts should come out on top. Their offense, though, running the ball outside of one game where Taylor had a huge yardage total, it really hasn't been great. Taylor has been shut down over the last 3 games. The offensive line is not getting a push. It has been reliant on Daniel Jones. The Arizona Cardinal defense, Josh Sweat has 5 sacks this year. He's averaging a sack a game. They get pressure on the quarterback. Do not sleep on what the Cardinals may be able to do to the Colts offense. And vice versa, what the Cardinals offense can do to the Colts defense. If Jacoby Brissett starts, I think it'll be simplified. It'll be a lot of quick passing, and that is the way to get the ball down the field. Dolphins and Chargers, we kind of already previewed. Not sure what the running back rotation will be for the Chargers. Hassan Haskins is slated to get the start. Vidal will be the backup. Justin Herbert could have everything put in his lap if the Dolphins can somehow jump out on top of them. But then I believe they will jump on top of Herbert. I think that is a big issue. The offensive line, Joe Alt, Mekhi Becton, obviously Rashawn Slater is out for the year, and they just don't have a lot of power. The Chargers do concern me. Their protection concerns me. The Dolphins, I don't think are a good team. Their defense is an absolute sieve. This game, in all aspects, looks like it should be a high-scoring game, but I think because of how bad both teams are, it could end up being a field goal mashup and not many touchdowns. Maybe 2 touchdowns for both teams and a field goal game that could decide it. I've got the Dolphins winning just because I think at home, Chargers traveling across again, I don't really like that for them. The New England Patriots, coming off one of their biggest wins on Sunday Night Football against the Buffalo Bills, now head to New Orleans, a city that just got their first win of the year over the Giants last week. Everything screams the Patriots should be able to control most of this game. Spencer Rattler finally got a win, but it's not that this team looks great. Rashid Shaheed had a really huge catch last week, really far, and honestly, I don't think the Patriots defense will let that happen. It will be a lot more pressure on Spencer Rattler. Obviously, I've got the Patriots probably walking out of there with the W. A game to really watch out for is the Browns and Steelers. Most are taking the Steelers. The number started at 5.5 and is now 6.5 for Pittsburgh. So smart money, big money is coming in on Pittsburgh. I'm going to say Browns. I love what Dylan Gabriel has done. I like the offense right now, the balance with Judkins and Gabriel's ability, especially his scrambling ability. The Steelers have had one good defensive game, and only one. let's not lose our minds like they're doing something amazing. They have had one good defensive game. Coming off of a bye, is Aaron Rodgers going to be focused? It is the number 2 defense in the league. So do not just throw the Browns out as not being able to compete in this game. I fully believe he will. The Cowboys and the Panthers, I did not pick. This game scares the crap out of me. Rico Dowdle and Chuba Hubbard look like they are going to tag team in the backfield for the Panthers. The Panthers could have 400 rushing yards. But on the other side, you could have Dak Prescott with 400 yards as well. The Cowboys are favored by 3.5 in Carolina. Carolina is a wildly questionable team. Dallas, you got your questions about as well. I don't know how it's going to end up playing out. If Dallas wins, they're all of a sudden above 500, and that does matter, especially with how the end of the year could be for them. The Seahawks and the Jaguars match up in what I believe is an outstanding round number 2 for the Seattle Seahawks. Sam Darnold played great last week. Baker Mayfield just played a little bit better. Tampa Bay Bucks beat Seattle last week on a last-second field goal, and I could see that happening to them again this week down in Jacksonville. Jacksonville looks good. They are balanced. How do you beat teams that are one-sided? You're balanced. You use the clock. You're able to run, you're able to pass, and you look confident. The win over the Chiefs, I believe, gave the Jaguars the confidence they need to now go into the game against the Seahawks and the rest of this year, believing and knowing that if they play their game, they're okay. Do not forget, they are the number 1 takeaway defense in the NFL. Sam Darnold can get a little bit loose with the football, whether in the pocket or when throwing the deep ball. I believe Jacksonville will have opportunities to cause turnovers again, and I've got Jacksonville winning the game over the Seahawks. I'm not going to talk about this game much. The Rams are going to Baltimore. Currently, Lamar is going to be out, and Cooper Rush is going to be in. We'll see if that changes. As of right now, it's not, but we'll see. Either way, I've got the Rams winning this huge. They're favored by 7.5. The defense for Baltimore is absolutely injury-ridden, and it's not playing well. The guys that are actually there, they're not playing great. Rams are going to absolutely walk away with this one, no matter whether Lamar starts or not. The Raiders and the Titans is a very interesting game. I believe this game could be the end for Geno Smith. And why I say that is simply this. If he is the reason, he has 6 touchdowns and 9 interceptions through 5 games. If he throws 2 more interceptions, and they are interceptions in the red zone again, I do believe that the Raiders will get rid of Smith or bench him and trade for somebody else to come in just to try to lessen the turnovers. I think Ashton Jeanty has a big game. I think he will be able to run on the Titans. The Cardinals were able to run on the Titans. They just dropped the ball before the end zone, which ended up giving the Titans a chance to come back. I do believe Cam Ward will have a decent game, and I do expect a competitive game that could also be a field goal when it comes down to it. But watch for this game to be really close. Watch for the rookies to come out and play. But if Geno Smith throws 2 interceptions in this game, and they were to lose to the Titans, it will get very loud, and they will move off. Remember, they only have 2 years of guaranteed money to this guy. Next year, if they keep him around, he'll be a bench. Could you trade him? I don't know. We'll see what injuries happen and take place over the next couple of weeks. Not going to spend much on the Bengals and Packers. I've been talking about it since Joe Flacco got traded to the Bengals. I believe it does help them with a little bit of stability, but it's going to be a cookie-cutter offense against the Packers. I believe Josh Jacobs can run on Cincinnati, but Trey Hendrickson has 4 sacks in the last 2 games, and do not sleep on him causing a fumble from Jordan Love. If the Bengals come out on fire, the 14.5-point spread is definitely too much. I'm taking the under on the spread. I do believe, though, Green Bay comes out on top. They are the better team. They have the better firepower. And all in all, I think Green Bay's just got it right now, and Cincinnati is in trouble. A game that I really cannot figure out is the 49ers and Buccaneers. I don't know what to make of the 49ers. The the injury list is so long and so confusing. So many people are questionable. So many people are day to day, and you really don't know who's going to start and who's going to play. I stayed away from this game in my picks, and yes, it was on purpose. Baker Mayfield is absolutely playing at an MVP level and deserves to be in that talk. Emeka Ibuka is really making a case for Rookie of the Year. His problem is only Cam Skattebo right now, who is absolutely tearing things up as a running back on the ground. But Ibuka has 5 touchdown receptions this year and 445 receiving yards. I do believe Tampa will probably come out on top, which is a huge thing for the Rams because then that means the Niners are knocked down a peg. The Lions and Chiefs, I have said this, not going to go over it too much. I believe the Lions run the ball, control the clock, and they control Kansas City. Dan Campbell's going to know what to do. This team has a mission of getting to the Super Bowl. Bills and Falcons, I also already kind of went over. I'm going with the Bills, but I want to see how the Falcons play. This could be a 31-28 game, could be a 30-27 game. I don't know if I'm taking the 4.5-point spread for Buffalo. I may take the under on the 4.5-point spread, but I do have Buffalo winning the game. The Bears and Commanders is going to be the final game of this week, week 6 of the NFL season. The Commanders have Jaden Daniels, Ja'Cory Krosky, Merritt, Deebo Samuel. They get Terry McLaurin back, and I do believe they will be ready to play on a Monday Night Football game where Caleb Williams has struggled and Jaden Daniels continues to shine. I believe Ben Johnson is trying to figure out how to make everything more coherent. The running game will have to be big if the Bears stand any chance of being able to get the W out in D.C. But I'm going with the Commanders. Hands down, straight up, nothing else. And that is it. All right. So, FYI, and I will let you guys know this again on Monday. Next week is fall break for my kids. And I have no clue what in the world we're going to end up doing throughout the week. I am not off work. That doesn't mean anything. We could end up doing a number of things. So here is my plan as of right now. Monday's show will actually be a premiere show. It will be scheduled and it will go live at 9 o'clock, and the video will play out until 10 or whatever it ends up being. I will record that podcast Sunday night after the game, so you do have the reactions. My goal is to still do a live podcast on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. That's my hope. If I can't, it'll be a pre-recorded video. If we end up doing something early in the morning where I'm not able to come in here and do the live podcast. So next week, it's going to be a little bit of play it by ear. Mondays will be a premiere episode that I record Sunday night, recapping what had gone on Sunday. All right, guys, that is it. Do a quick recap. I've got the Dolphins, Patriots, Jaguars, Lions, Bills, and Commanders this week in my pick 6. Have some fun. Place a couple of $1 bets. Watch some football. The weather has really cooled off. There are people with colds all over the place right now. Weather has really cooled off. It was 45 degrees this morning. It is gorgeous, though. It is beautiful outside. Sunny and 69 in the afternoons. And fall is in the air. It is brisk in the morning, but it's definitely fall in the afternoon. You guys have an absolutely fantastic day. Have a great weekend. Make it the best weekend you can. Have a barbecue. Cook on a Blackstone. Cook on a grill. Cook over a campfire. Have some s'mores. Just make it the best weekend you can. Enjoy friends. Enjoy family. Have fun. And I will talk to you guys on Monday morning. I appreciate each and every one of you. Please make sure to like, subscribe, and share the podcast. I deeply appreciate it. Guys, until Monday, for Sports Talk with Hawk, I am Hawk, and I'm out. Have an outstanding weekend.